Once we've accepted the premise that we need support from other people to move our careers forward, the next question inevitably becomes, how do you actually build that? Because unfortunately, most architects only start thinking about it when they want something, whether it be a new job, a better project, or a way out of a practice that stopped working for them. And thanks to that, it always feels like a transaction. Weird and awkward and slightly performative, something you do when you're senior enough to justify it or desperate enough to need it. The thing I wish I'd realised sooner for my own career is that a network isn't a tool that you pick up when you're ready for management. It's one of the main ways you get there. If you wait until you need one, you've probably missed a few steps already. The thing is, when someone makes you an associate or puts you in front of a client or gets you to present to a planning officer, they're not saying, well done, you've been working hard. They're saying, I trust you not to fuck this up. And that trust is very rarely built on technical competence alone. In architecture, competence is the baseline. Everyone has it. The question that actually determines who moves up is something very different. Do people trust your judgment? Do they trust how you communicate, how you behave under pressure, how you handle things that aren't stuck in the Revit model? Most importantly, do they trust you enough to put your name forward when you're not in the room? You can be brilliant, conscientious, and technically strong, but still stay exactly where you are, all because your work is trapped inside your computer, your emails, your project meetings. And when it's trapped, nobody has the time or the inclination to notice the gap between good and genuinely great. Careers don't respond to private effort, they respond to signals, reputation, and advocacy. Which means you need people who will do something very specific. Say your name in rooms that you're not in. And that's the real point of building a network, not a collection of business cards or LinkedIn connection, but a series of advocates. The biggest myth that keeps you stuck is that networking is for later. I'll focus on it when I'm more senior. I'll do it when I'm finished running projects. I'll do it when I need it, when I start my own practice. But most architects tell the same version of that same story. All of those are just different ways of putting off the real work, which is learning how to be known. Being known is part of being trusted, and part of being trusted is part of being promoted. And if these systems run on relationships, those inside your office and across the industry, you need to understand the dynamics and embrace it. If you want to lead, you need to make advocates out of the people who are already there. The two networks you need to build are your internal network and your external network. First, your internal network, the one that lives inside your workplace. The directors, associates, or project leads, these are the people who decide who gets client exposure, who presents to planning, and who is ready for the next thing. If you're invisible to this group, your progress won't go anywhere. And it's not because anyone is deliberately holding you back, that they're mean or lazy, but because they're busy. And when people are busy, they go with whoever's name they already know. Why would they take a risk on you? Second is your external network, your world outside the workplace. Peers at other practices, consultants, contractors, people a few years ahead of you who have already solved the problems that you haven't hit yet. Maybe a person that you met at a talk who mentioned your name to someone hiring 6 months later. Your external network is what stops your career being entirely dependent on one office culture. It gives you perspective, leverage, and a sense of what else is out there. And if your current workplace isn't building you, this is what often saves you. But it's not just about being seen. Advocacy is about being backed. Advocacy is saying, give them the lead, they'll handle it, or they're ready, put them in front of the client, or simply, I trust their judgment. That is what moves careers, and it doesn't appear because someone decided you deserve it. It appears because you've built it quietly over time through how you show up for people. Now, you build advocacy by making it easy for people to know, like, and trust you. And that most commonly comes down to a few steady behaviours repeated over time rather than any single impressive moment. So number one, be consistently legible. I know a lot of architects think that staying quiet reads as focused or competent. It doesn't. It just reads as quiet. You don't need to be loud or performative. You just need to maintain enough of a signal that people can track where you are and what you're doing. Get involved in things outside the office day job. Ask questions in a meeting. Offer to support other people. It's not just about big, grand gestures. They're just the small ways that you can become someone people are aware of. Number 2, give people something to repeat. If you want someone to advocate for you, they need a simple, honest story that they can tell. And works hard doesn't cut it. Everyone thinks they work hard. You need something specific. She always comes into a meeting with an idea. She's the one who flags an issue before it becomes a problem. She handles difficult contractors without turning it into a big thing. These are reputations, and that's what travels without you. Number 3, make the ask specific and small. A network is not built by asking for a promotion or a job or even an advocate. It's built by starting a conversation. Something like, could I ask you one question about how you'd approach X? Or I'm working through something and someone suggested you'd be a good person to talk to. It's a small ask, it's low friction, even first date energy and not a marriage proposal. Number 4, follow up properly. And this is where most people drop the ball. They might have a great conversation and then nothing. If you want to turn a one-off contact into an actual relationship, you need to close the loop. Tell them what you did with the advice, or send them something you saw and thought of them, or introduce them to someone they should know. That's what moves someone from being a person you once met to a person who might be quietly invested in how you're doing. Now, I'd love to leave you with a direct challenge for the week. Pick one person inside your workplace and one person outside of it, and send them a short message. Not a big ask, just an opener. Let's start with the internal one. Hey X, I'm working on Y at the moment and I wanted a second opinion before I take it further. I thought you'd be a great person to ask based on your experience. Would you have 15 minutes sometime next week? And then external. Hey X, I came across your work on topic and it got me thinking about something I'm dealing with at the moment. Would you mind if I asked you one question? I'd really value your take. Make it real, make it something you're actually working through. That's what makes it worth sending and worth replying to. Go on, give it a go and I'll speak to you next week.